What would you do if your own child, the one you sacrificed everything for, looked the world in the eye and said you never existed? Today's story is about Keisha Washington, a 58-year-old woman who gave up her dreams, her youth, and her happiness to raise her son Jamal. And when he became worth $50 million, he repaid her by pretending she was dead. But here's where it gets controversial. When Jamal lost everything and came crawling back, Keisha did something that has the internet absolutely divided. Half of you are going to call her a saint. The other half are going to call her the worst mother alive. And honestly, I think she was 100% right to do what she did. Yeah, I said it. Fight me in the comments. Let me paint you a picture of Keisha Washington in 1995. She was 28 years old, working double shifts at a diner in Southside Chicago, coming home to a cramped one-bedroom apartment where she tucked a toddler bed in the corner for 3-year-old Jamal. His father. Gone before Jamal could even say daddy. Keisha had dreams once. She wanted to be a nurse. Had acceptance letters to community college programs that she never opened because she found out she was pregnant. It's temporary, she told herself. I'll go back when things settle down. Things never settled down. While other women her age were building careers, going on dates, traveling, Keisha was at parent-teacher conferences alone. She was the mom who showed up to Jamal's basketball games in her work uniform because she couldn't afford to take time off. She was the one who stayed up all night braiding his hair for school pictures because she couldn't afford the salon. And Jamal. He was embarrassed by her from day one. Picture this. Keisha saves up for months to buy Jamal new Jordan sneakers. Not just any sneakers, the exact ones all the popular kids had. She works extra shifts, skips meals, eats nothing but ramen noodles for weeks, and finally surprises him with those $200 shoes that cost more than their monthly utility bill. Jamal takes one look at them and says, "Mama, why can't you just be normal like other moms? Why do we always have to be so poor?" He was 12 years old. But Keisha, she swallowed that pain like she swallowed everything else. She smiled and said, "I'm doing my best, baby. Mama's trying." Because that's what mothers do, right? We take the hits so our children don't have to. We absorb the pain so they can stay innocent just a little bit longer. Ladies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You felt that knife twist in your chest when your ungrateful child makes you feel small. When they're ashamed of the car you drive, the apartment you live in, the uniform you wear to work. The very things you sacrifice to give them a better life become sources of their shame. But Keisha kept going. She always kept going. When Jamal was 13, he started lying to his friends about where he lived. He would have them drop him off 3 blocks away so they wouldn't see the rundown apartment building. When they asked about his mom's job, he'd mumble something about her working in healthcare. Technically true, if you count wiping down tables at the hospital cafeteria as healthcare. When Jamal was 15, he stopped bringing friends over entirely. Too embarrassed by the second-hand furniture, the small TV, the way the radiator clanked at night. Keisha would cook elaborate meals hoping he'd invite someone over, but he never did. When he was 16, Keisha surprised him by saving up enough money to buy him a used car. Nothing fancy. Just a reliable Honda that would get him to school and his after-school job. She presented the keys to him on his birthday, tears in her eyes because she was so proud she could finally give him something big. Jamal looked at the car, then at her and said, "Mama, this is embarrassing. What if people see me driving this? Can't you just give me bus money instead?" Keisha felt something break inside her that day. Not just her heart but something deeper. Her sense of self-worth. Her belief that love was enough. But she kept pushing. She kept sacrificing. She kept believing that somehow, someway, her love would be enough to make him see her value. Fast forward to 2010. Jamal is 18 and heading to Northwestern University on a partial academic scholarship. The rest of his tuition. Keisha took out loans she knew she'd spend the rest of her life paying back. She sold her grandmother's wedding ring, the only valuable thing she owned, to cover his first semester housing deposit. The day she drives him to campus in her beat-up Honda Civic, the same car she's had for 15 years, Jamal is quiet. Too quiet. As they pull up to the pristine dorms, he looks around at all the luxury cars dropping off his new classmates. BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas. Parents in designer clothes hugging their children goodbye. Mama, he says, not even looking at her, maybe you should just drop me off at the main entrance. I can walk to my dorm from there. Keisha's heart breaks, but she forces a smile. Course, baby. Whatever makes you comfortable. She watches him walk away with his suitcase. The same suitcase she'd worked overtime for 3 weeks to buy him. And he doesn't look back. Not once. Doesn't wave goodbye. Doesn't blow her a kiss like he used to when he was little. He just walks away like she's an Uber driver who completed her job. That was the beginning of the end. Over the next 4 years, Jamal calls less and less. During his sophomore year, Keisha finds out through Facebook that he's dating someone. A girl named Ashley whose father owns a chain of luxury car dealerships. Keisha isn't invited to meet her. She's not even told about her directly. Junior year, Jamal stops coming home for Christmas. He's too busy with internships, he says. Too busy networking. Too busy building his future. But Keisha sees the pictures on social media. He's spending Christmas in Aspen with Ashley's family. Skiing. Laughing. Looking happier than she's seen him in years. Senior year, Keisha doesn't even get a graduation invitation. She finds out he graduated summa cum laude from a post Ashley makes on Instagram. The caption reads, "So proud of my self-made man. He came from nothing and built everything. From nothing." Those 2 words haunt Keisha for months. She stares at that post for hours. Screenshots it. Shows it to her neighbor Denise, who's been watching this whole tragedy unfold for years. Denise, who's seen Keisha cry herself to sleep. Who's seen Keisha work herself to the bone for a son who acts like she's a burden. Denise looks at the post and says what Keisha can't bring herself to say. "Baby, your son is erasing you. He's rewriting his history and you're not in it." But the real betrayal, that came later. By 2018, Jamal has built a tech empire. His company develops apps for financial planning, ironically helping people manage money that he never learned to appreciate when his mother was struggling to make ends meet. His company goes public, and overnight he's worth $50 million. He's on magazine covers. Forbes 30 Under 30. Black Enterprise's Young Entrepreneur of the Year. TED Talks. Podcast interviews. Documentary features about successful young black businessmen. And in every single interview, every profile piece, every podcast appearance, Jamal tells the same story. "I grew up in foster care after my grandmother died when I was young. I aged out of the system with nothing but determination. I built this empire from scratch with no help from anyone. I'm proof that the American dream is still alive if you're willing to work for it. Foster care. Dead grandmother. No help from anyone." Keisha watches these interviews from her small apartment, the same apartment she's lived in for 25 years because she never could afford anything better after putting him through college. She watches her son, wearing suits that cost more than she makes in 6 months, tell the world that she doesn't exist. She watches him accept awards for overcoming adversity while she's working double shifts at 58 years old to pay off the student loans she took out for his education. She watches him give motivational speeches about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps to rooms full of aspiring entrepreneurs who applaud his self-made success story. And when reporters try to dig deeper into his family history, Jamal has an answer ready. "I prefer not to talk about the past. I'm focused on building the future. I don't let where I came from define where I'm going." But here's the part that really gets me fired up. Keisha's neighbor Denise, who's been watching this whole tragedy unfold for years, decides enough is enough. Denise has held Keisha while she cried. She's seen Keisha eat dollar menu hamburgers for dinner so she could send Jamal care packages in college. She's watched Keisha's spirit break a little more every time Jamal appears on television lying about his past. So Denise does what any loyal friend would do. She confronts Jamal. She finds out about a networking event his company is hosting in Chicago, gets dressed in her best outfit, shows up like she belongs there, and waits for her moment. When Jamal is working the room, shaking hands and taking photos, Denise approaches him. "Excuse me," she says. "Jamal Washington." He turns with his practiced smile. The one he uses for potential investors and media interviews. Yes, that's me. Are you interested in learning more about our financial planning solutions? I'm interested in talking about your mother, Keisha Washington. The smile freezes on Jamal's face. His eyes dart around the room, checking to see if anyone overheard. I'm sorry, he says, his voice dropping to a whisper. I think you have me confused with someone else. No confusion. Denise replies loudly enough that nearby people start to pay attention. Your mother, Keisha. She raised you in that one-bedroom apartment on 47th Street. She worked 3 jobs to put you through Northwestern. She's been watching you on TV for years, crying because you keep telling people she's dead. Jamal's face hardens. Ma'am, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I'm going to have to ask security to escort you out. I don't have a mother. I was raised in foster care. He signals to security, and Denise gets escorted out. But not before she says loudly enough for half the room to hear. Keisha Washington raised you alone for 18 years, and this is how you repay her. By pretending she never existed. The next day, Denise goes back to Keisha and tells her everything. Every word. Every denial. Every lie. And for the first time in 30 years, Keisha stops making excuses for her son. She doesn't cry. She doesn't rage. She doesn't scream. She just sits quietly for a long time, and when she finally speaks, she says, I gave him everything I had, and it still wasn't enough. He needed me to not exist for him to feel successful. That's when something changes in Keisha. She stops watching his interviews. She stops checking his social media. She stops hoping he'll call. For the first time in her life, Keisha starts living for herself. She enrolls in those nursing classes she gave up 30 years ago. 56 years old, she goes back to school. She makes friends with her classmates, women and men who respect her determination and wisdom. She gets promoted to supervisor at her job. She starts dating a kind man named Robert who treats her like she's precious. For 2 years, Keisha builds a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for her son to remember she exists. And then 2020 hits. Here's where karma comes knocking with the force of a freight train. The pandemic destroys Jamal's business. Turns out, when people are losing their jobs and struggling to pay rent, financial planning apps aren't exactly a priority. His company's valuation plummets. Investors pull out. His board of directors votes him out as CEO. But that's just the beginning. A former employee comes forward with allegations that Jamal has been falsifying user numbers to inflate the company's value. The SEC launches an investigation. His assets get frozen pending the investigation. His penthouse gets foreclosed on. His luxury cars get repossessed. The same media that celebrated him now destroys him. Think pieces about the fall of fake entrepreneurs. Investigative reports about startup founders who built empires on lies. His face on magazine covers again, but this time with headlines like the self-made millionaire who made it all up. Ashley, his girlfriend of 8 years, releases a statement through her publicist announcing their amicable separation. Translation: she's running as fast as she can from the scandal. His wealthy friends stop returning his calls. The networking events stop inviting him. The speaking engagements dry up. Within 18 months, Jamal goes from 50 million to bankruptcy. From penthouse to sleeping on friends' couches. From private jets to taking the bus. And suddenly, miraculously, Jamal remembers he has a mother. Isn't that interesting how memory works when you need something? It's a rainy Thursday evening when Jamal shows up at Keisha's apartment. She's just gotten home from her nursing program. Tired but happy because she aced an exam she'd been studying for all week. She's changed into comfortable clothes and is heating up leftover soup when she hears the knock. She opens the door and there he is. Her son. The child she carried for 9 months, raised for 18 years, and mourned for the last 10. He looks terrible. The expensive clothes are still there, but they hang wrong on his frame. He's lost weight. There are dark circles under his eyes. His haircut is growing out, not the sharp fade he always maintained when he had money. Mama, he says, And Keisha's heart stops because it's the first time he's called her that in over a decade. Mama, I need help. Not hello. Not I missed you. Not I'm sorry. Not I love you. I need help. Keisha stares at him through the screen door. This man who denied her existence. This man who built his fortune on the lie that she never mattered. This stranger who used to be her baby. I don't have anywhere else to go, Jamal continues, and his voice cracks slightly. I lost everything. The business, the house, the cars, the money. The feds are investigating me. My bank accounts are frozen. I need a place to stay until I figure things out. Keisha still hasn't said a word. She's looking at him like she's seeing a ghost. 'Cause in a way she is. This is the ghost of the son she used to have. The one who died the day he decided she was too embarrassing to acknowledge. Denise appears behind Keisha. She's been having dinner with her friend, helping her study for nursing school, being the supportive presence that Keisha deserved to have all these years. Denise takes one look at Jamal and says exactly what needs to be said. You have some nerve showing up here. Jamal straightens up, trying to summon some of his old arrogance. Excuse me, this is between me and my mother. Your mother. Denise laughs, but there's no humor in it. Oh, now she's your mother. When you needed money for college, she was your mother. When you needed someone to co-sign your first apartment lease, she was your mother. But when Forbes wanted to interview you about your background, suddenly you were raised in foster care. I never said she was dead. Jamal protests weakly. No, you said something worse. You said she never existed. You erased 30 years of sacrifice and love because it didn't fit your brand. You told the world you came from nothing while your mother was working double shifts to pay off the loans she took out for your education. Jamal's composure starts to crack. Look, I made mistakes, okay? But I'm here now. I'm asking for help. Isn't that what family is supposed to do? Help each other. And that's when Keisha finally speaks. Her voice is steady, almost eerily calm. I don't have a son. The silence after those words is deafening. Jamal stares at her like she's slapped him. What do you mean? I mean exactly what you've been telling people for years. I don't have a son. My son died 10 years ago when he decided I was too embarrassing to acknowledge. Mama, that's not fair. Fair. And now Keisha's composure cracks just slightly. Was it fair when I worked 3 jobs to put you through college? Was it fair when I sold my grandmother's wedding ring to pay your housing deposit? Was it fair when you told the entire world that I never existed? I was building a brand, Jamal says desperately. I was trying to create a narrative that investors would connect with. The foster care story, the self-made angle, it tested better with focus groups. It wasn't personal. It wasn't personal. Denise actually laughs out loud. Your mother wasn't personal. The woman who raised you alone wasn't personal. The woman who gave up her dreams so you could chase yours wasn't personal. That's not what I meant. Jamal backpedals frantically. No, Keisha interrupts, and her voice has steel in it now. I know exactly what you meant. I was an inconvenience to your success story. A poor single mother from the South Side doesn't fit the image you wanted to sell to your wealthy friends and investors. Keisha steps closer to the screen door, but she doesn't open it. For 10 years, Jamal, I have watched you become everything I raised you not to be. I raised you to be grateful, to be humble, to remember where you came from. Instead, you became the kind of person who steps on the people who love them to climb higher. But I'm here now, Jamal pleads, and real tears start forming in his eyes. I'm here asking for help. Came back. Doesn't that count for something? And this is the moment that has the internet absolutely divided. Keisha looks her son in the eye and says, You're not here because you love me. You're not here because you missed me. You're not even here because you're sorry for what you did. You're here because you need something from me. Again. She takes a deep breath, and when she speaks again, her voice is stronger than it's been in years. And you know what, Jamal? I finally learned to value myself the way you taught me to. You taught me that I don't matter. You taught me that I'm not worth acknowledging. You taught me that my sacrifices mean nothing. So the woman you're asking for help, according to you, she doesn't exist. Now here's where it gets really controversial, and I know some of you are already typing furious comments. Jamal breaks down completely. We're talking ugly crying, snot running down his face, sobbing. Please mama, he begs. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I'm your son. I'm your baby. You used to tell me that no matter what, you'd always love me. Remember? And Keisha wavers. Course she does. Because that's what mothers do. We see our children in pain and our hearts break, even when they've shattered ours first. Denise sees it happening. She sees Keisha's resolve cracking. She sees 30 years of maternal programming kicking in. And she does something that half of you will love and half of you will hate. She steps in front of Keisha and addresses Jamal directly. No. Absolutely not. You don't get to show up here with tears and apologies now that your back is against the wall. She's not my mother, Jamal snaps back, his grief turning to anger. This is between me and my family. Family. Denise's voice rises. Where was this family loyalty when Keisha had pneumonia 3 years ago and spent 4 days in the hospital alone? Where was it when she got laid off during the early pandemic and had to choose between rent and groceries for 2 months? Jamal looks genuinely surprised. I didn't know about any of that. Of course you didn't know. Because you never called. You never visited. You never once in 10 years asked how she was doing. The only reason you're here now is because your perfect life fell apart and you need somewhere to land. Keisha finally speaks again, and her voice is clear and strong. Jamal, I forgive you. I forgive you because holding on to anger was poisoning my soul. But forgiving you doesn't mean I have to save you from the consequences of your choices. She pauses, letting that sink in. I spent 30 years of my life making sure you never had to face reality. I bailed you out of every problem, I covered for every mistake. I gave you everything I had even when it meant I had nothing. And what did that teach you? It taught you that you could treat people badly and mama would always be there to clean up the mess. Keisha's voice gets stronger with every word. No, Jamal. You can't stay here. Not because I don't love you, but because I finally love myself enough to know I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. She starts to close the door, then pauses. There's a homeless shelter on Madison Street. They have job placement programs and financial counseling. Maybe it's time you learn to build something real instead of building it on lies about the people who sacrificed for you. And she closes the door. Jamal pounds on it, pleading, crying, promising to change. But Keisha doesn't open it again. 6 months later, Keisha gets a letter in the mail. The return address is from a small apartment across town. The handwriting is Jamal's, but it's different somehow. Humbler. The letter reads, Mama, I'm writing this from my studio apartment that I share with 2 roommates. I got a job at a construction company. It's honest work, and for the first time in my life, I'm proud of something I built with my own hands instead of lies and manipulation. I understand now why you closed that door. I understand that love without accountability isn't love at all. It's enabling. You gave me the greatest gift you could have given me that night. You gave me the chance to find out who I really am when I can't fall back on using people who love me. I'm in therapy now. I'm working on understanding why I was so ashamed of where I came from that I had to invent a whole different story. I'm working on understanding how I convinced myself that denying you was somehow protecting my career instead of just being cowardly and cruel. I don't know if I'll ever be worthy of being called your son again. But I'm trying to become the kind of man who deserves a mother like you. The kind of man you raised me to be before I forgot who I was. Thank you for loving me enough to let me fall. Thank you for teaching me that real strength comes from facing your failures, not running from them. The letter ends with, I hope someday I can make you proud for real this time, not just proud of some fake version of me I created for the world. Keisha reads the letter 3 times before she puts it on her refrigerator next to her nursing school graduation photo. She hasn't written back yet. She's not sure she's ready. But she keeps the letter where she can see it every day. And that's where I'm going to leave you with a question that's tearing apart every comment section where this story gets told. Did Keisha do the right thing by turning away her son when he needed her most? Is there a point where a mother's unconditional love needs to have conditions to be healthy? Or should a mother's door always be open, no matter how much pain her child has caused her? I know what I think, And I think Keisha was absolutely right to protect herself and teach her son accountability. But I'm curious what you think. Because this story hits different for everyone. And I guarantee the comments are about to become a battlefield. Team Keisha or Team Jamal? And more importantly, why is everyone who disagrees with you completely wrong? Let me know in the comments and don't hold back.